we have our 7 planets, the main planets that we could see, and we have the outer ones. And there's all kinds of other outer ones, Chiron, and then Sedna, Makemake, Guayar, and there's going to be many, many more added to this. So the nature of what astrology is going to someone that doesn't know is going to say, oh, there's so many planets, how can they all have meanings? But really, there's a basis of the basic planets that we can see, and the sun and the moon being the main factors that guide us in our life. The other factors that we can't see are subtler influences that we can't see, but we can learn to sense their presence. Okay, so as we develop our, well, I guess, where do we start from? So these are just drawings of the sun with the Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. They're not exactly proportional because Jupiter, you can see that Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune are big, but the Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, Venus have been exaggerated in size to stand out on the drawing, so it stands out. This is a better picture of the actual proportional sizes of the planets. And now if you continued the sun cycle, you could see, imagine how big the sun would be. You see the size of Mercury, really small, and then Venus, then Mars. Venus and Earth are almost the same size. Then Mars, small again. Then Jupiter's huge. Saturn, if you include the rings, even bigger. Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto is smaller than Mercury. So this is the size of our planetary alignment. Now, here's where some of the interpretations get different, because if you look at it just from the sun, they have a direct order right out, and there's no retrogrades, and they just go around, and they each have their own size and frequency and torque and mass and density. So all of these go along, but also there's another way we can interact. We can see the planets as Venus and Mars are on both are on each side, and inner and outer. They pair up. Mercury and Jupiter pair up. Saturn and not the sun, Saturn and the moon pair up. And then there's the outer planets. So there's various ways meanings have been drawn from us to our relationship to the planets. But essentially we get the meaning from their distance, their size, and the speed that they evolve at, that they orbit at. This is another picture of the size of the planets, where you can see how small Pluto is, Mercury, Venus, so Mars, Jupiter, they got the other planets. This gives a proportional size of each of them. So we're not on the biggest planet. If we add the sun in and we look at the one with the sun, there's the size of the sun, and this little tiny dot here down on the bottom, the fourth dot, Pluto you can hardly see, but even your Earth is a really small dot compared to the size of the sun. Okay, so what's the most important thing in the chart? The sun, of course. It's huge. Now, okay, so again, we're seeing the different frequencies, different sizes of the planets. Now, when we're, okay, our horoscope starts. Where's the beginning of our life? It starts at the moment. The beginning of my life starts at the beginning when I take my first breath. It's not the moment I come out of my mother, because I'm still attached by the umbilical cord and kind of almost breathing through that until the pressure shifts it and I have to breathe through my lung, and it shifts into breathing in. So that first breath is the time of birth. Not when you cut the umbilical cord, because sometimes you can be breathing and you can be here for a while before they leave the baby on the stomach, and it's still, the umbilical cord isn't cut right away. Usually it's within a short time period, but it's really that first breath when you suddenly, you're no longer being through your mother's body. You're being your own independent person, separated from your mother. It's the beginning of that life breath. That's the first moment. The horoscope for that moment is the DNA or the seed of who you could be, of everything you're possible. It's your potentials of your whole life. It's all there completely, and you're it at that moment, at that first breath. Now, as the world moves on, as the world keeps turning and the planets keep moving, and as you get a bit older, by the time we've learned the language and we started growing up, and we've grown up and learned language, we've probably limited our potentials to about, if we had 7 or 8% of our potentials, we'd be probably geniuses in today's world. So we have all these huge, vast DNA of potentials. But how much we actually actualize and become conscious of, how much frequencies we develop, that's a different story. That's the human story. Okay. So when we're born, how am I going to do this? Yeah, so even just from the chart, before I even started on it, from this, okay. Okay, we take our first breath and we're alive. In the first 24 hours of our life, we're hardly conscious. We're physically, our breathing, our body that's been so sensitive and inside a body is suddenly out, exposed to the elements. We have to breathe, we have to move a little bit, we have to have our lungs working, we have to have our heart working, we have to have digestion, and we get exposed to hot, cold, wet, dry. So in 24 hours, first 24 hours in a day, it's a really physical experience. It's not like our personality or consciousness is ability to communicate and stuff is alive. It's more we're just moving and breathing and feeling the new sensitivity and the new pain that comes with it. So across 24 hours, as I would just say it, if you imagine the midheaven, the ascendant, the midheaven descendant, and midheaven IC and the ascendant descendant as a cross, as representing the earth. Well, in 24 hours, that earth will turn around and each of those points will come to the horizon or come to the midheaven, or each planet will come up above. And as the world turns in the first cycle of our life, that first day, before we can do anything, we still have really, there are critical time periods more than other time periods. So every 6 hours is going to be a critical life and death time period. If there's big problems come up right after birth, they're either going to show immediately or 6 hours later, 12 hours later, 18, 24 hours later. They're going to come up on these intervals. They can also come up as other planets are there, or the moon is there and coming up above the horizon below, but that's another level. Just it's enough right now to see we're born and we're breathing and the earth is turning and it's going to go light and dark, and we're exposed to these, and hot and cold. We're going to be exposed to these in the first day of our life. It's a very elemental existence. We're becoming aware of these 4 elements, or at least experiencing them. We don't have any context for them. We're just here. It's just a shock, a rush of energy. So then after the first day goes by, the next day goes by, and we go through these cycles again. We're repeating the cycle. Every day it's just, but it seems so light. We just experience the hot, cold, wet, dry, comfort, discomfort, breathing, eating, digesting, pooing, peeing, whatever. It's mostly peeing, but just that those first number of days, we're just going through. By the time we've gone through it twice, we're a little bit stronger. We've lived through 2 cycles. Wow, we're more here than we were yesterday. And the first day, everything is primarily new. It's like life and death, and it seems like that when a baby's young anyways. Any little thing, oh my goodness, it's such a huge change. So these cycles, we go through all these cycles like a player piano music. We go through these cycles: hot, cold, wet, dry, light, dark, comfort, discomfort, close to mom, not close to mom, where we're feeling we have our sensual experience. But at time, and really, we look at our kids and we think, oh, he's so cute, oh, he's smiling. It's just gas. They're really just a physical blob there, a spirit being in a physical blob for the first month. And they're going through the changes, and those changes include the closeness to mom, the separation from mom, including attitudes like if mom wants to have the baby, doesn't want to have baby, is breastfeeding well or is not. You know, like all the attitudes of the mom are going right. The mom baby's already had it completely, so it's separated from it. The baby is beginning to react to these. It's familiar. There's a bond, but sometimes the bond that was there inside isn't the same as the bond that's there when it's outside. Sometimes it is. These are all primal determining factors of how secure we're going to be in our life. So at the beginning, the first impression, that primal gong, the great beginning, starts at that first breath. Then we go through the day, and we go through the changes in a day. So as these changes go on, they follow a certain pattern, the pattern of our chart as it's going around, as the Earth turns around once. But this goes along, and there's nothing related to except it begins to become more and more familiar. By the time 15 days or 20 days go by, this pattern's seemingly a bit more familiar, but it's not till the 29th or 30th day when there's been 29 days, there's a moon cycle. And you get the moon cycle, and suddenly a new function kicks in. Just physical and going through hot, cold, wet, dry until then, and it changes on a very basic level in your chart. And then at 30 days, we develop, the moon comes in, and we start developing a factor of memory of mom being close, of being apart, and the factors of the moon being memory, being our mother, being our sympathy linked to our mother, and this feeling of close or not close, feeling of being secure. It's our instincts kick in, and by 30 days we've developed a certain habit pattern. Or negatively, there has been no habit. It's been a crazy lifestyle, but child's born in a war zone and there's nothing regular. But basically, over the first month, that daily pattern gets established, and the new being, or the soul in the new body, has experienced 30 days of these earth patterns and begins to feel a little more secure in it. It's not so extreme as just the first day. They become familiar. They become secure or insecure, but it's linked to the connection of mom and the link to the breast, to being fed, to the stomach. These are the primal images we're being fed. We have this bond to mother outside of ourselves that's going to take care of us. And it's discomfort when she's not. It's comfortable when she's there, hopefully. But the moon phase begins again. We've had our first moon cycle. Now, the first moon cycle takes 30 days before your memory function kicks in. Before you start to remember, after the 30th day and on, you kind of remember. If the lights go out, you're supposed to go to sleep. When the lights come, when it gets light out, mom comes in, you'll get some food, you get some food, then it's going to be this. And you're going to get a little routine that's going on that you remember. Okay, so this memory and this routine linked to our mother, this is the moon function. And it's our sympathy link, it's our link to our mother, it's our basic sense of security, our feelings of basic needs. These are all factors of the moon. And it's our memory factor of remembering. This, I've been here before, this here, oh, this is still good for it. So the memory factor kicks in at 1 month. So this is a whole nother level of, I mean, you get any kid's book, you look first few days, you'll see the changes started coming in. There's different ways of treating them at 1 month, and then 2 months, and 3 months. As you go along, it evolves. There's an evolution of planetary influence or planetary consciousness. They're all there, but we're just becoming them one at a time. We take on each planet one at a time. And by the time we get a moon cycle, it's 30 days. By the time we've had, moon cycles around the Earth, by the time we go through the moon cycle, we have 3 moon cycles. It's about 90 days, 98, 99 days. And, no, sorry, 89 days, 90 days generally. But 1 Mercury cycle is 88 days.